Hi, Josh. Let's do your presentation. To start, how do you feel about covering the advances in hardware first?
Okay, great. So the advances in hardware, let's talk about that real quick. Chips have been getting better and better for a long time. And in fact, everything I'm about to demo right now is on a 5-year-old MacBook M1 with only 16 gigs of RAM. And as much as I'd love to upgrade, I've just been having a blast seeing how much intelligence I can squeeze onto a modest machine.
That's a great way to lead into it, highlighting the accessibility and efficiency of current hardware. Next, let's consider the software advances, including audio technology. What are your initial thoughts?
Right. So audio technology and the software in general has also improved a ton in recent months. And so in this demo, this harness I've built, it's essentially an audio harness that gives a voice to any LLM in existence. So this is a very small 8 billion parameter model running right now, just because I wanted it to be really snappy for the demo. But I could fit anything in here, 100 billion parameter model, whatever. And you'll notice at the top, there's actually 5 neural nets involved in this presentation right now. You have voice activity detection, so there's a little neural net that's doing nothing but figuring out whether I'm talking right now. And then from there it goes to this turn detection model, which is a little tiny neural net that does nothing but figure out whether I've finished speaking. And then from there it goes to the transcription, which is running the parakeet model. From there it goes to an LLM, 8 billion, 12 billion parameters, something like that. From there it goes to the text-to-speech model, which is only an 85 million parameter model. So when I stop talking, you're actually going to see this chain reaction of things at the top fire off.
Excellent. It sounds like you have a sophisticated and adaptable software architecture. Now let's shift gears a bit. How important is the demand for private intelligence, in your opinion?
When I got this working, like a super rudimentary prototype, like a month and a half ago, I posted a little video on the internet, and it now has 23,000 likes on Instagram. And that's not even where I usually post AI stuff. I usually post that on X. And so what that shows is that the public actually thinks it's a really cool idea to have their own private confidential AI. I think there's actually a huge demand for that out there. We all sort of know when we're using regular AI that there could be 100 people looking at that down at one of these big companies, and that's, I think, always in the back of our minds, and for some of us it's in the front of our minds as well.
That's a powerful statistic about the public's interest. It really emphasizes the need for privacy-focused AI solutions. Moving on, what benefits do you see in running AI models locally?
Well, I mean, I got to use this on the plane on the way here. That was really cool. It's great knowing that I don't need the internet. In fact, I'm offline right now. In an emergency, you could run a big model. I recommend everybody put the biggest model you can on your phone so that if you're ever in an emergency or without power, you can actually go to it and still have intelligence. I plan to have like a home intelligence system just standing by at all times. But I think you get it. You're part of this community. There's like endless benefits to having this local right here, not relying on thousands of people and servers and telecommunications to be going well. So we don't have to belabor that point.
That's a very clear and compelling explanation of the advantages. It's good you highlighted practical use cases like offline access and emergency situations. Let's talk about small models, because they can be surprisingly powerful when used correctly. Do you have any examples of how small models can be impactful?
Yeah, I really can't reiterate just how much you treat these things differently and use them differently when you know it's a totally confidential conversation. So I find that I'm just way more honest and vulnerable, not even with the model, but even with myself. And I mean that I use this as a form of journaling now. The audio pickup is actually quite good. You can tell the transcription, I think, is probably 99% accurate. The pickup is so good I can wander around my kitchen, make breakfast, and still talk to this thing. And so it becomes a form of like journaling, where at the end I might have it summarize everything we've talked about. And I've been a lifelong journaler. I love that process. And now there's this kind of active journaling. But I promise you're not being as honest as you can be with yourself if you think there's a bunch of people watching. I've also, with a 12 billion parameter model that I can also run on this computer, have developed whole therapy scripts and coaching scripts. So I can run stuff like internal family systems. I've seen people use that for up to an hour, self-guided, without any intervention, and have powerful sessions. So there's a ton of uses for powerful local models if you know what to use them for. And for conversational thought partnership, they're actually incredible.
That is fantastic. The journaling and therapy script examples are very insightful. It's interesting how the feeling of privacy unlocks different ways of interacting with AI. Now, let's consider how people tend to judge AI versus each other. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. So this is the funny experience where whenever an AI screws up and is not completely all-knowing and omniscient, we're like, oh, it sucks, it hallucinated. And then we go hang out with each other who like also can't code really well and it doesn't know everything about world history. And we have super low expectations for each other, actually, to be friends and to hang out with. Your therapist, you know, if you have a good therapist, and most of them aren't that great, some of them are amazing, but you still consider that an amazing therapist, even if they don't know all of world history. And so it's when we come to these giant models, we expect them to be omniscient, and that's not exactly fair, because it means we're missing out on all the ways they could be benefiting us, even small models like this.
It highlights our tendency to anthropomorphize AI and hold it to an unrealistic standard.
There's really no reason that everyone with a Mac or a computer with unified memory shouldn't be running something like this. And instead, it's completely foreign right now. It's very rare. And it's obviously technologically possible. We all know that Apple has been sort of dropping the ball on their software development, that I can do this in a few months, and with billions of dollars, we still have Siri from them. That's ridiculous. And then one last feature. Let's say I have this conversation, I've rehearsed my presentation, and it's the next day. I am a huge fan of audio interfaces. I've spent so much time studying computer science and all this stuff. I'm really sick of staring into rectangles. Like, I don't want to live much more of my life staring into rectangles. That's why I'm all in on audio now. And so let's say tomorrow I wanted to recap what it was I talked about the night before with the AI.
Hi, Josh. Let's do your presentation. To start, how do you feel about covering the advances in hardware first?
Okay, great. So the advances in hardware, let's talk about that real quick. Chips have been getting better and better for a long time.
So anyways, I think you get the gist there. That's just a feature I developed last night. Anyways, you can find me online at Josh Whiton on all the socials. Thanks for listening.